My camera died. So I am going to finish off what I was saying. So where I left off, I was talking about um, how this book is good for introverts and how when you have such tailored and niche interests in things, it is hard to connect with the everyday world. Not saying that your interests are better than anyone else's, not saying my interests are better or make me smarter than anyone else, but there are some things that I'm not into. Like, for example, Dale Carnegie in this book talks about kind of just keeping up with pop culture or just keeping up with like having something to talk about. That is something that I've carried since I've read this book for this was like, I don't even know, this was one of my sales jobs, like one of my management jobs back in the day. I think it was retail, it was the first job that I had that recommended this book. That was something that I learned early on, is to how to connect with people by pop culture. So I'm not somebody who watches the Kardashians faithfully, but I know the Kardashians. Like, I keep up on the drama, you know. I know a little bit here and there. I know like a little bit of little quirks that they do, little sayings. I know what's popular about them, so I can kind of connect with anyone who you like the Kardashians. We could talk about them. Like, I have a little insight to them. You know, reality TV, Love Island, The Perfect Match, all these different reality shows. I may not keep up with them, but I will research them. So I have something to talk about with people. So it's that is one thing that I have taken away from this book. Another thing, and then we're going to move on to the next book, because like I said, I am a rambler and I feel myself doing it. The next point I was talking about is the power of a smile. So I don't know about anyone else, but for me, honey, it is hard to just, you know, I feel like I look like I belong in that movie Smile. Like, I can't sit like this all day. I'm like this. Majority of the time, I'm like this. I speak very passionately. I speak with authority. I have a loud, booming voice. So sometimes when I talk or when I'm talking to people, I come off like rah, rah, rah. But that's not really how I am, you know? But some people just don't know how to handle it. So I've learned to, hey, how you doing? Like, my name is Robin. You know, I've learned all of that. And that started here. That started with Dale Carnegie. Like I said, I've been reading this book. I think somebody gave this book to me previously when I was a teenager, or maybe I was doing like some mentorship. I don't know. My mom had me in a lot of stuff growing up. So I'm pretty sure I got this reference. I've gotten that from there. And then I know I read this in retail sales jobs. So this was something, those 2 points I've carried from, we'll say since I was 16 to I'm 30 now. I've carried those 2 principles. Keeping up with pop culture so you can connect with people, and having how to smile and talk and be a little bit more inviting. Granted, at 30, the world is a lot different. I'm in a different field. So it's a little bit different now. Like, am I smiling all the time? Absolutely not. When I go to the grocery store, most times I'm not smiling. Wearing a mask was so much fun for me because I didn't have to pretend, okay? I didn't have to smile. But it is something that I take into account when I'm doing things. Like, even then, like, I think he talks about, I don't know what chapter it was. I can't remember what chapter it was, but he talks about the power of connecting with people. Like, even YouTube is a connection. So me looking at the camera is me connecting with you at home. My voice being a little bit more uppity and inviting makes you want to, you know, listen and be drawn into me. That's not how I normally talk, you know? So it's just like little tweaks and things that I feel like introverts kind of, I want to say, I mean, not every introvert is a nice person. Some are just straight up a-holes. But I feel like sometimes as an introvert, our personality or our shyness can come off as stuck up, or it could come off as not interested, when really you're just, you know, you're trying to get a feel, like you're trying to like understand. And I know it took me a long time to learn how to connect with people, like especially with sales, man. Like, my last sales corporate job before I completely left the field, it was it was a lot of networking with the older boomer generation, and I worked in construction. So you do the math, who's in construction and who am I? Tells you everything you need to know. So it was tough networking in that field. And I had to read this book again. I think I listened to it on Audible the second time or the fourth time because I needed to go back and learn how to do a proper handshake, the power of first impressions. Oh, it was a lot. I will say it is a good sales book as well. I do recommend it. It is I don't want to do them in order, but I'm just doing them based off of physical books, Kindle, and Audible. So this is a physical book that I think you should have. You see it's notated. I have it annotated. There's highlights throughout the book. It's, it's a real good guide. And I think he even gives you historical references in the index. I think he has so many things to go along with it, and he talks about Abe Lincoln a lot. So I also did some did some research on Abe Lincoln to see how he was, because he was kind of warm and inviting apparently. I don't really remember. As a leader, he was really warm and inviting. So people gravitated to him a little bit. So he talks a lot about that. And he also does talk about how to just argue and persuade, I won't say how to win an argument, but he talks about how to navigate an argument, how it could be agree to disagree, but that person doesn't realize you're agreeing with them or you're disagreeing with them, but you're doing it in a way that is oh, okay. So I will say that this is one of my top recommended. It is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. All my recommendations will be in the description, so don't worry. But this is number 1 out of the physical books that I definitely recommend. The second one I recommend is All About Love by Bell Hooks. This is a read. I can say you can read this in, I wouldn't say read it like a novel, but you can, because Bell Hooks puts her personal life in here, so there is a story element to it. Just like How to Win Friends, he does a lot of historical stories in here, but this is more of a reference because there's workbooks that go to this. With this one, this is more so, it's a read into her. She's using her life experiences to navigate the love guides that she's trying to give you, or the point she's trying to make. She uses her life. So this is a good read. You learn a lot about the author in this book. I personally received this book from someone I was dating at the time. Our relationship was good until it wasn't. So this was a book that I needed at the time. I think the person needed it too, but we won't talk about that. But this book is it's another one that's controversial that I personally do not see why. I personally think it's controversial because it brings up feminism, patriarchy. You know what I'm saying. So she brings up those 2 points in the book, which you already know in today's age. Oh my God. If you're on Twitter, if you're on YouTube, if you're on Instagram, if you're on TikTok, you know about the podcast bros, you know about the manosphere, you know about them Sandrists, the pick-me's. Everybody's at war in the dating world. It's a mess, honey. It's a mess. So this book right here is what they all need to read. And that's what the crazy part is, because everybody's saying the same damn thing. Anyway, let me not get on a tangent. But she talks about feminism, and she talks about patriarchy. There we go. She talks about how love has shaped both entities. How the feminist movement, I don't want to say it shaped the way Black women see love, but it aided in the way we see love. I'm not going to give any examples. I don't care if you agree or disagree with her. She had some valid points about feminism. She also talked about patriarchy and how the whole system of women feeling like we're being put down by men all the time, or abuse, how it went from thinking like not having our own basic needs. Like, we not being able to have a bank account, being under somebody's thumb all the time is seen as love, when that is not love. Or being told, if he hits you, it's love. And it's like, it's a lot of things from the back in the day that kind of carried on, that to this day is still affecting how we view love. Now, all my books are for any gender, for any race, but I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it publicly. I'm going to say this book is a book that Black women need to read. All About Love by Bell Hooks is a book that Black women need to read. I feel like this is a book that will put everything in perspective for you, because she talks about spiritual love, she talks about divine love, she talks about self-love, she talks about platonic love, and she talks about romantic love. And she also talks about why we put together love and abuse, and why it's not love, but sometimes we feel like it's love because there's so many other things going on with that abuse that makes us think it's love. So this is a book I recommend. As you can see, it is annotated. I don't think I highlighted too much in here. I think I was doing the pen method in here. So I was doing a lot of pen marks. Like, I had some, like, oh man, you could tell I was going through it. When I started this book, because the chapter that I have freaking highlighted, honey, give love words with clarity, so I'm going to just talk about me when it comes to this. When I got this book and the person I got it from, the way that they received love and the way that I give love was two totally different things. And I had to learn from my standpoint, not just in the relationship, that everyone gives and receives love differently. So it was hard for me to understand why you don't know that I love you, but the way you receive my love is not the same. The way that you receive love, period, is not the same. So I don't want to say it took me for this book to learn that, but it kind of like made me start thinking like, okay, if I want to love this person better, I need to love them in their way, but I also need to express my love a little bit better. Like, maybe my way of expressing love is not the best. So this is a good book to give you a little different perspective on love. Open your brains. I highly recommend this book for Black women. Say what you want. I care about Black women. I am a Black woman. That is what it is. So this book I recommend for Black women. I recommend it for anyone, but I feel like as a Black woman, you need this book. Bell Hooks in general, she is controversial. I like her. I think she's an amazing author. So I'm going to continue reading. I'm going to continue reading books from her. I have a few other Bell Hook books on my TBR list. So we'll see where that goes. She's an amazing author. So Bell Hooks. So now we're going to do the audibles. I don't know if my phone is going to show them really well, but I'm going to give a recommendation for the two Audible books that I recommend. So the two Audible books I recommend is The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Now, let me see. I'm going to go to my library. It's hard looking at my phone without my glasses, but I couldn't wear my glasses because my ring light is reflecting in the glasses and I can't focus that way. So it didn't work out I can't do it. Anyway, so The Success Principles. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but it is called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield and Janet Schweitzer. I listened to it via Audible. I did have the book in physical copy at one point, but it was a lender, so I had to give it back to the person. Once again, this was probably a book that was No, I'm going to actually have a cool story about how this book was recommended to me. I'm not going to say I'm a religious person. I'm more of a spiritual person, non-denominational. I will go to church. I have respect for all religions. I'm very open to all religions. I want to learn all religions, and I guess I cherry pick from different religions. I'm not going to lie. I feel like, having a spiritual base is important in life. It's important to me. So I do things that probably wouldn't, the world doesn't do, or the world may not agree with, but it is what it is. So the backstory with this recommendation was I went to the first time, no, this was my second time going to a psychic, a spiritual advisor. So she read me down. Like, she did so good. Like, oh, I still have the notes. That's how good it is. That's how good she was. She recommended this book to me before I had started my corporate job. And it was a hard read when she first gave it to me, because when she first recommended it, because I wasn't in the right headspace. I think it's about 17 chapters. I don't even remember. I don't remember how many chapters it was. Oh no, shit. It was 64 principles, and the book is 22 hours long. So it is a big book. It is a hard book. It is more so of a reference than it is a read. I personally listened to it on Audible because it was easier for me to digest. Because he's giving steps, he's giving information. It's not like a story. It's more informational. So I would listen here and there. Like I still listen, like I jump around, like I go to a certain principle that I'm kind of trying to grasp in my life. Maybe another thing that I actually was recommended when reading this book is to take about 3 principles a month and try to hone in on those principles and go from there. Like it's easier for you to digest it in small increments than it is to just read from chapter 1 to, like, I don't know, I think it's 17 chapters, 64 pages, I don't know, but chapter 1 to 64, we'll just say that. It's easier to just take 3 and then go from there, take 3 and then go from there. This Audible took me, I want to say like 2-3 months, because I skipped around, you know, like I said, it was a reference, and I would take 3 principles and focus, take 3 principles and focus. Sometimes I would just read through go through the principles and hear what he's saying. But the ones that like stuck out to me, those are the ones I took 3 and worked on them. Oh, also Jack Canfield is one of the authors, or is the originator of Chicken Soup for the Soul. I loved me a Chicken Soup for the Soul back in the day. That was my book. My mom, I think my mom was the one who introduced me to Chicken Soup for the Soul. I don't know who introduced me, but I used to love those books. I don't know. I know those books are controversial too. I don't even know if I read that the stories sometimes are not real. They're made up. I don't care. But those were some tear-jerking stories, and I love a tear-jerker. So I like Jack Canfield. I love his writing. I recommend the Success Principles, especially for entrepreneurs. If you are in the business field, the sales field, any field, like you don't have to just be in these fields to read these books. But if you're in those fields, I definitely recommend the Success Principles, and finance as well, because he does go over finance. That's the couple of chapters that I'm on right now, because mama needs some help. But anyway, so if you're in sales and finance, you've got to read the Success Principles. And I'm sure if you are working with a good sales organization that cares about your sales growth, they're gonna recommend you this book. They're gonna recommend you Think and Grow Rich, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or I'm sure that's what it is. I've read those 2. Think and Grow Rich, that's another reference. I'm giving a little extra there. Think and Grow Rich is another one that I definitely listen to, because it is a reference and not a read. He's another author that's controversial. Take it for what it is. Take the book for what it is. I was going to say F the authors, but I'm trying not to curse so I could be monetized and not demonetized. So take that book, The Success Principles, Think and Grow Rich, as more so of a reference. Now, the second Audible book that I do listen to on and off is the Success Principles. Hold on, not the Success Principles. I'm sorry. It's from Deepak Chopra. What is it called? I gotta go through my download. No, finished. Okay. So this one is the 7 spiritual laws of success. So when I started my spiritual journey, Deepak Chopra was my go-to man when it came to meditation, spiritual work, the chakras. That's how I learned everything, was Deepak Chopra. He is another controversial figure. I don't really know what's controversial about him. I don't pay attention. You know, they say a lot of things about him and Oprah. It is what it is. Whatever. I listen to his books. I follow his meditation guides. I have his app. His meditation app is amazing. They have free stuff. They have purchase stuff. But I have some purchased meditations and I have some free meditations. I love a guided meditation. It's important in my life. So I like Deepak. And I feel like if you are starting your spiritual journey, whether you're going into spiritualism, if you're going into paganism, if you're going into I even feel if you're going into Christianity, anything like that, I do feel like the 7 spiritual principles, the 7 spiritual laws of success. Oh my God, the 7 spiritual laws of success. There we go. The 7 spiritual laws of success is a book that I do think benefits you in your spiritual life. It's a quick one. I wouldn't say it's a read. I would say it's a read, but it is more of a reference. You want to take notes, and you also want to listen to what he's saying. I would say the same way I did that book is the same way I did the Success Principles. I took a few laws and I practiced them and I focused on them. I'm not gonna lie. These past couple months, I fell off my spiritual regimen. So I am probably going to listen to this book again so I can get back into it. 100%. This was the starter book for me when it came to my spirituality. If you know me from Instagram, you know me from Facebook, I'm a spiritual person. I've done the tarot cards. I still do tarot cards. I have angel cards. But you also see that I wear a cross. I believe in God. So this book right here, let me connect it all together. And it has helped me deepen my walk with God and my spiritual health in general. This was where I started, was that book. It was Deepak Chopra. I recommend it. Say what you want about my guy, but he's a recommended book for me. Okay, so now we are getting to the Kindle. So this is the last book that I'm going to recommend in this series. As I said, I did not want to ramble. I wanted to keep it short. If I do ramble, I'm sorry. I think I'm doing good. The monitor, so my first video, I didn't even, the camera died before I even made it to the 10, I think I got to the 10-minute mark, and right now, I'm at 23 minutes. Mama is doing good. Okay, let's keep it rolling. So, the Kindle book that I recommend, I'm going to turn my Kindle on. If it doesn't work, I'm going to go to, oh no, it did. Okay. So the Kindle book that I recommend, and this is she's another one that my mom gave me a prayer book from I never say her name right, Lord. Iyanla VANZANT. She started my prayer journey. Now, I grew up in the church. I grew up in the Baptist church. I have church roots, I've been in the church since I was a kid, yada, yada, yada. But my mom always let me explore. She never, told me I had to be a Christian. She never stifled me. She let me explore astrology. She let me explore a lot of things. So one of the books that I have, and I still to this day have it, I keep it by my bed, is Every Day I Pray by Iyanla VANZANT. She has a prayer for everything. I don't know what her religion is. I think she's, I forgot what she is, but she has a different spiritual belief than Christians, obviously, but I love her teachings of the past. Now, right now, I don't know what she's on, so I'm going to say you take it with a grain of salt, but this book right here is a book that it took me 3 years to read this book. And this was a book that was also recommended to me by my first spiritual advisor. She recommended me In the Meantime and the Success Principles. So the book is called In the Meantime, Loving Yourself what is it? In the meantime, loving yourself and the love you want. Let me make sure I get it right. Like I said, I'm going to put these books in the description so you're going to be able to find them. What the hell? What the hell? How do you do this? See, this is why, like, I usually use the Kindle on my phone because this Kindle is so confusing. Like, I just want to go to the first page. So I could show you the title. Okay, I can't figure it out on the Kindle, but I'm gonna look at here because I want to get the actual real title. It's called In the Meantime, but there is more to it. Okay, so it's by Iyanla Vanzant. It's called In the Meantime: Finding Yourself and the Love You Want. Let me tell you something about this book. So this one took me 3 years. It took me 3 years. I think it took me maybe 3 or 4 years to really get through this book. It's 328 pages. It is not, I thought it was going to be a read. It is a read, but when I tell you there's a way that this book comes into your life that is so, like, this is me just getting spiritual. It comes into your life when you need it. And those chapters hit when you need it. So the way she does it in this book, she talks about it from a foundation, like a house. So it's a foundation. There's like, I think there's 3 or 4 floors, and then there's an attic or something like that, how she goes from the bottom to the top. And when I left my last situation, I was at the last chapter of that book. And when I tell you that last chapter is what I needed to read at that time, I reread it 3 times because I needed it at that moment. And I gotta say, even though people say what they want about Miss Vanzant, she's aided me as well as therapy. She's aided me in my spiritual growth, my emotional growth. She's the real deal when it comes to her books. I recommend it. It is called In the Meantime. It is not an easy book. You know, if you're somebody who hears a voice when you're reading, it'll feel like somebody's yelling at you, and that's okay. But as you read the book and you progress, you see that it is coming from a loving place, and she knows what she's talking about in this book. You know, I don't want to get too into it. I don't want to spoil it because, I mean, this is not a book that you could spoil, but I don't want to spoil it because I want you guys to actually go out and purchase these books, borrow these books. I'm pretty sure they're in the library because these are older books. You can find them. I recommend them. So just to recap, we're going to go from the top. So the first 2 books that I recommended was All About Love by Bell Hooks, and then How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Then the 2 audible books that I recommended were The Success Principles and The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. The Success Principles is by Jack Canfield, and The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success is by Deepak Chopra. The last book that I'm recommending is In the Meantime by Iyanla Vanzant. Y'all, you will learn. I'm an intelligent person, but sometimes my communication and my speech gets a little bit mumble jumble. So I apologize. Hopefully I can figure out closed captions for those who need it. I just bear with me, okay? This is just the second video. So I hope you guys can enjoy this video. I know this is like, you know, kind of like my get back video. I really, really hope I can stay consistent. I really do want to. This is something that I've always wanted to do, especially when it comes to books. I feel like books are so important. They're just important, man. Like, we don't read enough. Like, I don't think people read enough. I think it improves your attention span to actually sit down and read a book. like physically read a book. At all times, I have a book in my hand or a book in my ear. Like, I'm always reading. So another thing, and then I am done because I feel like I've been doing good. I am going to talk about my current reading right now. So right now, I got all these books over here, but these are not the ones I'm reading. So the book that I'm reading right now is Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. I'm probably saying her name wrong. She's a beautiful girl, though. You can find her on Instagram. This is the second book. This is the first one. I finished this last year, but life happened, so I didn't get to the second one yet, but I'm almost finished with the second one. This is what I'm currently reading. This is the physical book that I'm reading. It is so good, y'all. She is an amazing, amazing writer. Yeah, I'm almost done. She's an amazing writer. I recommend this. I recommend her, period. This is the first series in a long time that I'm actually, like, continuing. Like, I can't wait for her to drop book 3. And so I was on her Instagram today, and the last time she posted about book 3, I wrote it down, was about 53 weeks ago from today, which is May. Today is May what? May 25th. So 53 days from today, she posted about the third book. I did see that there is a third book slated to come out in September 2023. Everyone is like rushing her in the comments. I love an author that takes their time. So, honey, take all the time you want, Miss Tomi. If you want to take another year to get the book together, please do, because you got a lot to do in these books, okay? I'm not even going to go on a tangent about these books yet, because I wanted to do a full video on this for Miss Tomi. So, we're going to hold off on that. But my current read is The Children of Virtue and Vengeance by Tomi Adeyemi. I will post those books in the description as well. I am trying to branch out so much when it comes to books. So I picked up The Little Mermaid. I mean, obviously, like, why wouldn't I? Because, hello, Miss Haley. Is it Holly? You know, Miss Thing. I don't care. You know who I'm talking about. You know who it is. Our Little Mermaid, our Ariel. Be mad. But I picked up The Little Mermaid. I'm not even gonna lie, I am not a Little Mermaid fan, so I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm probably not gonna go see the movie when it comes out in theaters, but I will catch it on Disney Plus. You already know. But I had to support. I just love that there's a behind the scenes in here. I'm actually gonna read it. I'm not gonna lie. I probably will like the story once I read it in a book. I don't know what's wrong with me. I didn't do that for The Lion King, but I think I like its animals. But The Little Mermaid, this is one of the books I bought. Then I got another Disney one, Long Live the Pumpkin Queen. It is in reference to Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. I love The Nightmare Before Christmas. I actually want a Nightmare Before Christmas tattoo. So this is another one I picked up. And then Queen Charlotte. I'm not into Bridgerton. I'm not Bridgerton. You know what I'm talking about. I'm not into, like, the royal court, none of that stuff. But I love me some Shonda Rhimes, honey. So I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to read this book first, and then I'm going to watch the series. I'm going to do it. This is going to be tough because I'm usually reading self-help or fantasy or autobiographies. I love being autobiography. So it's time to branch out a little bit. But those are the books that I want to read. The books that I'm currently reading is Children of Virtue and Vengeance. I'm always reading 3 books at one time. I'm also reading Pam Grier's autobiography called Foxy. If you know anything about Miss Pam Grier, then you already know who she is. She is the queen of Black exploitation. She's just that girl, okay? I don't know too much about her backstory, but I've been reading her autobiography. I am on page 105 of 280. It is a read, honey. She's been through some stuff, but she's a graceful woman, man. Like, she's a good woman, man. I love her. I love her. That is a book that I read when I'm at the gym, but that's on my Kindle. And then lastly, the last Audible that I'm currently listening to, I don't even think I chose one. Oh, there it is. I have not chose one yet because I'm in a weird place with my Audibles. So I'm not sure. I was listening to Witches Steeped in Gold by Clannon Smart. I have 8 hours left. It's like the current book that I'm reading, so it's kind of hard for me because I'm trying to focus on that book when it comes to the fantasy world. So me having 2 fantasy books, I don't know, it's not clicking. But I had to put that one off. I have 8 hours left. I'll probably read it tonight because I have to work. But if not, I'll read it another time. I did listen to Diane Carroll's autobiography called Legs Are the Last to Go. That was amazing. It's narrated by Miss Diane Carroll herself. She has a voice like butter. It's so important for the Audible to be narrated by a good voice. I can't stand a bad voice. Like Bobby Brown, but Bobby Brown's autobiography, I downloaded it because I wanted to listen to it, and it was read by him, and his cadence was a little bit off, so I couldn't really get into it. I'm going to try again. If not, I'm just going to buy the book and read it. But he's another one that I tried, but Diane Carroll's autobiography was amazing. I have Love Lucy downloaded. I think that's what I'm going to read again. Or because, we just lost Miss Tina Turner, I think I'm going to read her book because I have her book on my wish list. I have Audible Premium. So I get, 1 credit a month. I think I'm going to use my credit for her. But we'll see. So that's it for me. I am done. Thank you so much for watching this video, listening to this video, wherever you are. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I really appreciate you. I really hope you come on this journey with me. And that's it for me. I hope you have an amazing night, an amazing day, amazing afternoon, whatever it is. I hope you have an amazing day. But also, like I said in the beginning, these self-help books go in conjunction with therapy. Your mental health comes first. So I hope you have a great night, great day, great evening, whatever. Bye. Thank you.